This is John Henry Giacomini we're talking with. John, you're the oldest one of Henry and Rose's children, correct?
Yeah,
Was there advantages and disadvantages to being the oldest of 12?
considerable at times. It seemed like there was more disadvantages than advantages at that time because anything that went wrong, I was supposed to keep the rest of them from doing it. I was older and I ought to know better.
That, I think, every one of the other children, the oldest in their family, I think would agree with you on that.
Well, I could see why they would. I know that I used to do that with mine, so I'm sure that it works for everybody.
And just a minute ago, you were telling us about, you were born here on this ranch at Waddington, and about as a child that you fell in the well. Can you tell us that story again now?
Well, we were down there, Uncle Ted and his son and Edward, and Dad and I were down below the Henry's house here, looking at a well that was down here right by where that ditch goes through the ranch. And I remember falling in, and I don't remember, but Mom said that Dad pretty near beat me down the well, and he got me out. It was a pit, really, and then the irrigation pump was down in there. And I must have probably been about 2.5, 3 years old, something like that, because we moved after that. So I was about 4 when we moved over to Alton.
So all your school years then were at Alton and Fortuna.
Yeah, I started at Alton Grammar School, went 8 years there, and then went 4 years to Fortuna High School.
How many years did you have Mrs. Woodcock as a teacher?
3 too many.
Well, even Mother thought that Mrs. Woodcock maybe had it in for the family, so if you felt like it was 3 too many, Mother understood.
Well, I had Mrs. Lawson for 5 years, and she was really a strict disciplinarian, but she never held a grudge. And when you're small, it takes a while for you to figure that out, too. But Mrs. Woodcock, it seemed at times, just bedeviled doing something to us kids. Of course, it was over a 2-bit election that was held, and she was afraid she was going to lose her job.
That was when Dad ran for the school board over there?
Yes, that's right.
And
he lost by 1 vote, and he didn't vote. So that was quite a while ago.
And later Dad ran for the school board at Ferndale High.
Yeah, he served 2 or 3 terms on the Ferndale High School board, and he was clerk of the board for quite a while. And of course, Ern knew more about that because he was back here at home with Dad then, and I had already married and moved to Elk River then.
I remember the day you walked out the sidewalk of the house next door, and you were heading for Reno to get married.
You do, huh?
And Mary Grace called you back because Mom and Dad were in Kansas City, and the whispering that went on. And then the preparation of the front bedroom in anticipation of you bringing Lois back.
And then you never got to...
And then you were smart enough not to bring her here.
Well, you do something right even if it's by accident once in a while.
I believe your cattle racks were in the bedroom there. The bed was short sheeted and up on kindling sticks, and the clipping from the newspaper was on your cattle racks in anticipation of the first sister-in-law coming back home.
I didn't know that, but I knew that the bed was fixed, but I never did sleep in that bedroom. We stayed with Gwen and Ernie, and for a while, and then I moved up to Grandpa Christine's old house, and I lived up there till we moved to Elk River.
And I remember you and your most gracious wife and your first Christmas. Lucille got to go to Jean and Lily's that first Christmas. They had a spare room. Your wife caught me heartbroken over in a corner and said I could come home with you. She looked at my face when we got to the living room at Grandpa's house and said, "Would you like to sleep with us?" And not knowing any better, I said yes, and I spent Christmas Eve in your bed with you your first Christmas.
Well,
May I now
I
apologize?
I don't even remember that, so it must not have bothered me too much.
But when I got old enough to know better, I thought, oh, what loving people and what an idiot I was.
I don't even know if Lois remembers that. I'll have to ask her.
I did remember it. As I got to know more, I did remember it.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the horses that Dad had before the tractors came onto the ranches?
Of course, when I was over here, we had horses, and we had an old Fordson tractor. and I just vaguely remember the horses that were over here, but at Alton, when we moved over there, there was 3 teams of horses and a creamery horse. We hauled our milk to the creamery with a horse and wagon. And then Dad eventually got an old Model T Ford truck that had hard tires on the back that we hauled the milk with. And he sold one of the teams of horses that we had over there to Uncle Jim Wilson. And he used that money to help buy an old Fordson tractor. We always had 2 teams as long as we had the Densmore place. And there was a black and a white horse, Kitty and May. May was a white one. And then we had a team of brown mares that Dick Bryant's uncle had raised. And Butte and Queen. And Queen died and Kitty died one winter. And then we went out and we bought Babe and Jane. And then we raised 2 colts out of Jane. And then Dad had a colt that he bought, and then he bought a mare from Uncle Fonso that was out of a mare that used to be here when I was small, and Bally, and we raised 5 colts out of her. The Wrigley boys up here bought 3 of them, and Harry Johansson bought 1. They were scattered all over the country. And then when I was here, I bought a stallion and a mare, and when I moved to Elk River, I took them with me, and I raised several colts, and then the tractors came after the war. You could get them all. During World War II, I farmed entirely with horses. I never had a tractor till after the war.
How long did you run this ranch here at Waddington?
4 years.
By yourself?
Well, Dad, no. Well, kinda, yeah, but we both ran it. We were. I moved over here in February of the year that I graduated from high school, and Uncle Les worked for me, and I lived out at the end of the lane with Aunt Mary and Uncle Les. And then he got a job as a carpenter. He'd been out of work, and he went to carpenter, and then we hired a Portuguese fellow by the name of Emmanuel Nunes. And they lived in the house, and I lived upstairs. And then when he left, Dad and I drove back and forth from Alton. And then when we moved over here, then Gene and Joe and him drove back and forth from to the foot of Hydesville Hill. Where Joe and Gene had the ranch.
Uh-huh.
And they did that till Gene got married. So that was for a couple of years anyway. Because Dad and Mother didn't move over here, I think, for pretty near 2 years after we started to run this.
I had my 4th birthday here, and they moved like the fall when I was 3. Wasn't that, you came over here in October or something?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
And I know I had my 4th birthday.
Well, I think I had my 4th birthday at Alton.
And David Petrotti had his 4th birthday in this house over here before they moved up to Waddington.
Is that right?
Yeah, when we were talking one
I'll be
time.
darned. But I did a lot of farming here with horses because we only had 1 tractor at that time, and Dad moved it back and forth. And old Cy, who was with us for so long, well, he came over and worked with me here after Dad started going back and forth, and then he worked for Dad for several years till the boys got out of school. And then when he retired, he moved over there in that place and lived in the cabin on Gene and Joe's place over there.
Did Cy ever give you a nickname? Cy was good at giving everyone nicknames.
No, he never did, that I can remember. I had a lot of nicknames, but Cy never gave me any.
What were some of your nicknames as a
I'd
kid?
rather not repeat it.
They must have been good ones.
But, it was, Dad gave us kids a lot of chances. We all worked hard, and as I look back, he probably wouldn't have made it without us kids, but we wouldn't have made it without him either. It was a two-way street.
At that time, a man's family was still very much an asset to him.
Well, they are today.
But, as far as working the land.
In a business, because both my boys stayed with me till they were out of school, and Clinton's came back and is still with me.
Is he a partner of yours now?
No, he's not a partner per se. We've been working on a partnership, but he has a bunch of cows of his own there, and he takes care of machinery and equipment, and he drives a truck, and we haul hay and haul cattle and one thing and another.
You're coming in close to 40 years then in at Elk River just about, aren't you?
Be married 40 years in October, and we bought it on the day that Pearl Harbor struck. And we moved in there in February, the day before my birthday. I spent my birthday in there that year. And it'll be 40 years birthday, my birthday time we moved in there. Dad went in and helped me level up the house and fix a lot of stuff, and the boys all went in. During that winter from December to February, we did a lot of odds and ends.
Mom helped blaze the linoleum, I remember that.
She helped hang the wallpaper and all those kind of goodies, but it don't seem like we've been there 40 years. It just don't even seem like we've been there 20 years. In fact, I was talking to a native that used to live up there, and he wouldn't believe I'd been there 40 years. And he remembered when I moved there, but he just didn't realize it was that long.
That old song, Turn Around, and their babes.
Yeah.
Young lads with babes of their own, huh?
Yeah.
And how many grandchildren do you have now?
Have 4. Walter has 2 girls, Sarah and Mary. And she's 6. And Mary will be 4 the day after our wedding anniversary. And we have Pam and Clinton have Carl and Tiffany. And Carl is 4. He was 4 the 9th of March. And Tiffany was a year old the